we have been reporting this morning, we are waiting for that formal announcement from South Carolina Senator Tim Scott on his entrance into the Republican presidential primary, his run for 2024. For more context, analysis, and just get us ready for this speech, I want to bring in NewsNation Washington Bureau Chief Mike Viqueira. Mike, good morning to you. So what are those in Washington saying about Senator Scott and his reputation and what people like about him right now? We'll start there.
Well, okay, what people like about him, he's a relatively low-key senator. He has certainly conservative bona fides here in the United States Senate. He's not really the sort of person that seeks the limelight, but he's got a compelling life story. I mean, here's an individual who came up in South Carolina in poverty, played high school football. He was a high school football star, went on for a partial scholarship at a small university, known to be very religious from way back before he entered public life. He started out as an insurance salesman, went on to run for local office, and then ultimately became the junior senator, along with Lindsey Graham, the senior senator from South Carolina. And South Carolina, obviously, as an aside here, Marni, well represented in the field so far with the former governor, Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott now going to be going head-to-head. But really not head-to-head, because these candidates now are stacking up, trying to come in for a landing here, one after the other. It's almost like Thanksgiving weekend here at Reagan National Airport. The planes are lined up. They're coming in to the airport. We have Ron DeSantis, of course, expected to officially announce his candidacy, as we've just heard, in Florida coming up this week with another big rally. We also heard Nikki Haley, of course, joining the likes of former President Trump, and along with DeSantis, Asa Hutchinson. So we are approaching a stage now, Marni, where it's almost as big as a field. If you recall back in 2015 and 2016, when they had some 17, I believe it was, Republicans who wanted to vie to replace Barack Obama in the Oval Office. And of course, that led to the debate mess where they had the kids table, they had the viable candidates, they had the lesser candidates, two separate debates during the summer of 2015. So it's going to be a crowded field. It's interesting how they all position themselves around the big candidate, the most important candidate, the sort of person with all the gravity, the largest planet in this universe, and that is, of course, the former President Donald Trump. Whether they're going to be taking on Donald Trump directly, whether they're going to present themselves as a conservative alternative to Donald Trump without the drama, as Ron DeSantis appears to be doing, or even someone like Glenn Youngkin. And I think we talked about him last week, Marni, with his sort of cryptic but very highly polished video that he released that intimated that he was going to be entering the race as well. Of course, he's the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, sort of trying to run in that old Ronald Reagan lane of strong foreign policy, a message of unity. But I think we can expect to see a positive message now as Tim Scott is about to take the stage in North Charleston, South Carolina, of course, his hometown, to declare his candidacy. He's got $22 million already in the bank from his Senate campaign, so that's a pretty good head start, although certainly not definitive in terms of how much money is ultimately going to be needed to run this race. Because, of course, these races now, ultimately, when someone is nominated as the nominee for their party and goes on to the general election, run upwards of $1 billion. So Tim Scott, though, is going to be taking the stage here shortly in North Charleston. Again, I think we can expect an uplifting, positive message that is focused on the fact of his modest upbringing, his background there in South Carolina, the fact that he is an African-American senator and a Republican, which puts him in a unique position as well. And so Tim Scott about to take the stage there in North Charleston.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.